Welcome to another webinar by GDS Storefront Estimating. This one's going to cover tips and tricks in the final parts report for WinBidPro. And we're using the new 15.2.9 update. And there's a couple things in here that even apply to what we're doing today. So let's talk about those. First, we're going to use let's use a new catalog here. So let's go to, oh, sorry, not framing systems. Let's go to, so there's a new FCO catalog, a new TubeLite catalog that were recently posted. So let's go ahead and use TubeLite. And I just realized I had, so let's create a quick elevation here. Second elevation, same framing system, make it like a simple opening. Okay. Oh, actually, let's add some horizontals too. 84. So, and then we'll add glass. Okay, so we've got two elevations. Remember, anytime you add elevations, you need to get into the optimizer and get your elevation parts again. So anytime you change or add or delete, and then we need to re-optimize so the program can figure out what your stock length count is. So then we go to our final parts report. Now remember, final parts report, and I've got it pretty wide here. You can have it down here, but you're kind of cutting off some of the important information like the total. But even beyond the total is things like where the data came from in the program and the type of component based on where it's used in the elevation in the framing system. So kind of helpful if you have room on your screen to expand those things. So you'll notice we have a multiplier of 1. So I didn't go in yet and change my multipliers in my catalog. So I can do that real easily. There's another video that goes over this, but let me just do a quick refresher. So if I want all my door parts, both door frame, door whatever, to be a certain multiplier, I can filter by door. So there's 2,031 parts that I just filtered. And we have a little warning that says, be careful because you might be changing your entire parts list. And if you don't use the filter, that's what's going to happen. So since I did, I know I'm doing the right thing here. So let's say I get a 0.6 multiplier for my door stuff. So I've just changed that. Now I can change this to stock. And all my stock length parts, I can change group of parts. It warns me again, so you can check that box if you don't want to see that. And let's say I get a 0.65 for all my stock lengths. So I've just updated all of those multipliers real easily. You can do things like go by a catalog page, by catalog code, even by a combination of part prefix, part type, so all the above. So depending on how specific you want to get with your multipliers, you can filter it accordingly. So now when we go back to what? Oh, so here's a trick. I've just changed something in my master parts list, right? But my job has already been created. So the job already created copies of the parts when I first made the elevations. So anything I do in the master parts list does not affect the job I've already created unless I go to my jobs window. So we made a tool a while back that lets you carry those changes over to the jobs. So, and this is why it's in the job window. So the job that I currently have selected, which is the only job here, I want to update parts for this current job. And basically, it's going to tell me here that these changes are going to come from the master parts list, and they're going to be applied to this job. And yes, I want to do that. And it's supposed to redraw the elevation for me, so then I can close it. And then I should be able to go to my optimizer, get elevation parts again. What did I do? I just changed the multiplier, didn't I? And then re-optimize. Now I can go to final parts. And now I should see, like I do, the changes I made in the multipliers. So that's one way to affect changes in your parts list, in your final parts report. The other way is I can go in and actually change things here Like I know this is a shear block based on the description. So when we build this catalog, there's certain things that we do automatically, let's say. So we have a program that converts the data from, in this case, TubeLight to our GDS format. And there's certain things we don't know exactly. We know that it's a miscellaneous part because of the catalog section, things like that. We don't necessarily know it's a shear block because we don't look in the description, because the description doesn't always tell you. So we can't rely on just that. But in this case, I do know that the description says shear block. So I forget if we even have a shear block. We have setting block. So shear block, I can just call it hardware instead of miscellaneous. So, and then the other stuff, here's setting block. So I can change this one to setting block. So I can make these changes in my job. And let's say I forget about the multiplier. I just want to change the part types. Here's another shear block, so a roll over shear block. I want to change that one to hardware. And then, excuse me, there's other things. What is this? Panhead, so this is a screw. So I can change that to a screw, or screws. So those changes I've made in this job, now those are independent of the final parts list. But in the 15.2.9 update, there's actually a new tool that lets me update the master parts list with the changes I've made in the job. So we're actually letting you go the other direction now. So it's pretty cool because you have a couple different choices when updating information. So let's double check one. I changed P1680 to a setting block part type, right? So when I hit this, it says parts list was updated, the master parts list was updated. So then I'm going to go back to my master parts list just to be sure, and I'm going to look for P1680. So P1680, it's right there, and the part type is setting block. So the changes I made to that job parts list, final parts list, were applied to my master parts list. So I can do it in either direction now, which is kind of good. So thanks to Jim in San Diego here, we added that feature just for him, and I think it's a good feature for everyone. So, okay. So now there's some things you can do with, let's say you've got things dialed in. Let's just assume I've got all my multipliers dialed in, and you've got a job, and you're checking, you know, you submitted your quote to the manufacturer, to TubeLight. They came back with the price, and their price is a little bit off from yours. So you want to go through and change specific things. Like let's say you want to update your door parts. I'm going to type in door, and I might have to fix something in this filter bar in the final parts report here. Okay, so I filtered to just my door parts. There's only 3 of them, so it'd be really easy to go in and just, you know, adjust the unit price. If my multiplier needs to be fixed in here, I can go through and change it. I can update master parts. I'm sorry, I can say change factors, not that one. So let's say it's a 0.62, and then I can update that. So now the one thing, so you have to be careful when you apply your changes back to the master parts list, because I do believe the multiplier will copy over, but the unit price won't. So let's see, or it's one or the other. Let's find out real quick here. Let's clear the filter, and we are going to go, and what did I change there? That's a DSM01. DSM01. I changed it to 0.62, and I'm going to go in and say update master parts. Now we're going to go back, look at the part list. DS, oops, it's M01. Where is the multiplier? Oh, is it back in the front there? Oh yeah, there it is. So yes, so it did change the multiplier, but it's not going to change the price, I believe. So you, The reason we did that is what if there's a special price for that job, but you don't want it applied to your master parts list. So if you do need to change pricing, I would just recommend do it in the master parts list, and then apply those changes to the job rather than doing it the other direction. So when we went the other direction from the final parts, I can change anything like description, part type, package quantity, multiplier, but not the price itself. So just keep that in mind, and that's how it works. So this tip actually tells you that when we click the tip button up here. And you can follow those tips. Most of the screens we have, or a lot of them, have a tip button in there. So click that whenever you get the chance just to see what it says, and that'll help you with what you're working on. So back to the filtering by door, or of the door parts here. See, for some reason I have to click back in the field, and it shouldn't work that way, so I'm going to have to look at that. So I want to filter by door, and it shows me a subtotal. So in this final parts report, it shows me the subtotal of the whatever I filtered my list to. So that's kind of cool because I can also print that. If I hit print report, it's going to show me that same filtered list and not the entire parts list with the subtotal of just those parts. So that's a good way if you just want to see what your stock links are costing, what you're charging for those, what you're charging for hardware, whatever you want to filter it by, you can get a report of just those things. So if the manufacturer sends back their price and yours is, say, $1,626 for door material, but theirs is $1,206.26, what do? So the best thing to do, or one option for you, is you can actually go in and adjust individual pricing and multipliers and all that, but you can also just add a match part of your own that has one price in it to just even out the price between the manufacturer and you. So we want to hit Add New, and what I've done is I've gone in to my master parts list, and I've added, oh, that was in a different manufacturer. Okay, so this is what we want to do. We want to hit Add New here, and I'm going to say I want a match door part, and I want a multiplier of 1. I don't need a price in it because that's going to change every time I use it. I do want to say that it's a door part, so I'm going to say door all the way up here, the door, and then I'm going to say used to match manufacturer with quote. And that's my part that I'm going to insert. So I'm going to use that part here. Like I say, it's a multiplier of 1, so whatever value I put in, it's going to use. And it's going to show up as a miscellaneous added part. Now I can add any kind of part, and it's going to say that in the final parts report. But in this case, it's a match part that I've added, and I wanted it to get closer to, what was it, $1,300? So I'm going to add $300. Sorry, I need to edit the unit price, not the total price. So I need to add $300 to my door pricing so that I can match what the manufacturer gave me. And that's how I'm doing it. I've added a part of my own. I just put it in my master parts list, so anytime I use it, it comes up. Or I mean, anytime I want to use it, I can just go get it. And I can always just put in a value. I can even put in a negative value. So let's say I clear the filter and the stock links. Oops. So let's say the stock links are 1,302, and those need to be 1,202. I can do the same thing. I can say Add New, and I believe if we just type the part in here, match stock, it's going to say it doesn't exist, you want to add it. I'm going to add it, and it's kind of weird because we still have to hit Add New, so that doesn't really save any time. So I'm going to do match stock here. It's multiplier of 1. It's a stock part. We don't really need this information here. I can just zero that out because it's kind of a miscellaneous charge. So I can say, I can even give it a different description. Balance price between manufacturer and us. So I can hit OK. So there's my match stock part. I can insert it. And now, if I need to make a reduction, I can just say minus $100. I keep going to total. Minus $100. So now it's going to give me 1202.40. So either way, I can adjust up or down with this type of match part idea. So based on what the manufacturer gives you, you can adjust your pricing in one shot as opposed to going and looking for different prices, changing them, changing different multipliers and all that. So it's a quick and easy way to get your pricing to match the manufacturer's, on a job-by-job basis. So that's a trick that some of you might like. So there's another thing that's pretty helpful. It's let's clear the filter. So let's say there's some hardware that you want to add from an outside company, not from TubeLight, not from your company. So it's just hardware that is from a totally different company. You can actually open up, you can hit that tool. Sorry, I went kind of fast on that. We can say Add Hardware, and it opens up this list. It's a lot like the master parts list, and it shows right now almost 17,000 parts from a company called Access Hardware Supply. And it's kind of listed by description. The part numbers, have the manufacturer's initials, I guess, and so does the description. So let's say a Van Duprin VND would come up. I guess their parts don't all say VND, but the description of the part has the manufacturer's code in it, let's say. And if it's a Van Duprin part and you know their parts and it's something you need to add for doors, we can find it, we can hit Add Part. Now that's going to add that part to our final parts report. It's going to give us its own quantity multiplier and all that. And then basically you've just added something that's from a totally different company. It's, whether you've added it or whether you picked it from that list, it's something that you can add to any manufacturer, any catalog that you're doing a quote in. So as I say, it's not a TubeLight part, it's not, it's just something that you've added. Now another way to do that is you can add the parts that you want to do this with to each of your catalogs. So to TubeLight, to FCO, to TrueLight, to YKK, to all those. So you can add parts like that to each of those catalogs, or you can have this one hardware catalog that has all those parts, and then you always know that they're there. So the difference is these parts can only be added at the end. So here we are at the final parts report. This is the end right before you do your markup. So the program, when you're working with framing systems and stock links for the framing systems and different components and all that, it has to be using the manufacturer's parts because it's only looking in that spot for them. But once you get to the end, which is this final parts report, it was a lot easier for us to add in extra hardware and things that are added. Just like these miscellaneous adds that we did, the ones that are adjustments, the match parts. Those are real easy to add in at the end because it's just one entry and it adjusts the price. So that's how that works. And so a couple other tricks. One is price by package. So we've added this quite a while ago, but it's good to revisit it. Now, the TubeLight catalog is real good about the package quantities and all that. So each of these pieces of hardware have package quantities, screws, setting blocks, gasket material even has rolls in feet. So that's what package quantity means for a gasket. So you'll notice now is pricing by actual footage for vinyl, for gasket, actual units for screws and setting blocks and all that. So now if I go ahead and check this box, price by package, it's going to adjust the pricing based on the package. So there's 174 of these self-tapping screws needed for this job, but it comes in a package of 100. So now you'll notice that this column has a number in it. So it's saying that there are 2 packages to order. So if it's $1 per unit, and there's where did I got lost here. Anyway, it's basically figuring how many packages many packages are required, how many items in a package, and it multiplies it by the per unit price, then by the multiplier, and giving you your final price that way. So it's no longer using this quantity here for the items that do have a package quantity. If you hit this checkbox and there's a miscellaneous item that has a 0 package quantity, then it still has to use the actual quantity because there is no package quantity. So keep that in mind. And most people buy these things by the package unless you have a big inventory of them and you're just trying to use items in your inventory. Then you wouldn't use this. But that's a trick that that is helpful to you also. And the other, so to create GTS file, you know that GTS GlassPack is a project management software for or has a project management program for the glazing industry, and this will create a file for them, and I have it so that it doesn't show me the message. And so for this, if we go to our tube light, so I'm going to go to my WinBidPro folder. Oh, that's the wrong folder, sorry. I'll go to a different WinBidPro folder, and then I'm going to go to tube light, and then what it does is it creates a GTS folder. Then inside that GTS folder, it creates a file that has the job name and then final parts, like what report it created. So that would be the text file that I would open with my GTS software and read in all the information from this final parts report. So that's how we can easily kind of transport data from our program to theirs. So that is pretty much it. So that's what you want to remember is in the final parts report, you can either have all your information as close to the way it needs to be as possible with all your pricing and your multipliers, and then you can use our little match trick here to add a record that has a description that says you're basically matching for whatever type of part it is, and then just enter a value that gets you the same total number as what the manufacturer is quoting. So that's a simple trick. The other option is you go through and you filter and you change your multipliers here. Like let's say all the miscellaneous. So if I want to go part type, actually I might even do better by going miscellaneous here. No, we don't want to do that. Let's do part type miscellaneous here. And then I can change those multipliers by going change factors and 0.55 or something. So remember, you can do it this way. And now in this case, it is only changing it for the job unless I were to go and run the update master parts. Then it's going to actually change it back in the master parts list. So remember, that's a new tool that's available in the 15.2.9. Now, one caveat to that tool is if you did add some hardware parts, like we're going to clear the filter here, and we've added those hardware added parts that you'll notice right here, and the component type would say our hardware. And I can actually filter, I guess I just did one. Oops. But I can see those parts here. Now, if I added those and I try to do the update master parts, it's giving us an error now, so I'm not going to do it. So the next update will make sure that works. So just keep that in mind. In the 0.9 update, if you add hardware parts, you're not going to want to use the update master thing. Or if you do, update the master first and then then do the hardware parts. So. And then the other option was you can go to the master parts list, make all your changes there, and then have them carried over to this job by going to the jobs window and saying update job with master parts. And then that's it. So remember that you can, when you do filter, it's showing you a subtotal here. You don't have to click the total button, it automatically totals it. And then when you print, it's going to show you the same list of parts and the same total on your printout as well. And as with most of our windows, you can sort, like this is by part type and then part number. We can sort by from table, and then part type, or you can just do by part number. And it's going to remember that when we get back in. So if I close and I go back to final parts, it still says sort by part number. So the part type part number is kind of cool because it groups all the different part types together. So that's it for this tricks webinar. In 2 weeks we'll have another webinar, and like I said, keep checking our website. Look at our newsletters for whatever tips are there, and what upcoming webinars there are, and what's been posted to the website. So thanks very much.